How many of you know what this is? Now, you may not be able to see all of it, but this is a water ski, and it's something I've used for the past 6 to 8 years. According to the USA Water Ski Foundation, water skiing was created back in 1922. Ralph Samuelson designed the first water ski, which was actually 2 skis, not one like this, from 2 pieces of pine board, and then he successfully skied on a lake in Minnesota. From here, water skiing became a family sport and a tradition. Over the years, gear has evolved, but the basic concept of water skiing and how to water ski has stayed the same. Water skiing is something I love. It's something I've grown up around and see it as an extension of myself. And while it takes some practice and lots of patience, I believe it's generally an easy concept to grasp. My name is Abby Wasserslaven, and today I'm going to teach you how to slalom ski. Now, like I said, some people ski with 2 skis, but today you'll learn how to ski on one, like this one. Now, when you're going to ski, you're going to need to remember 3 main things. First, how to put on the ski and which foot is going to be your front foot. Number 2, the initial pull and how to get up out of the water. And then number 3, what to do once you're on top of the water. And I promise it's not as difficult as it sounds. I know boating can be a foreign concept to a lot of people. It's something I've grown up around, so I know what to do on a boat, but I know that's not always the case for everyone else. If you're nervous about being on a boat or uncomfortable, the best piece of advice I can give you is to listen to the driver. The driver's going to know what to do and when to do it, so when you're getting ready to ski, listen to the driver. My dad and I have been teaching people to water ski for many years. We've come up with a more or less foolproof way of doing so. So the first step when we're teaching people to water ski is to figure out what ski they're going to use. Now, skis and wakeboards are sized based off of height and weight. So when you're looking at what ski to use, you're going to want to look at your height and your weight. Now, after you've selected your ski, your next step is to figure out which foot is going to go in the front boot and which foot is going to go in the back boot. Now, in general, the front boot is going to be the most dominant foot you have. But that's not always the case. For me, I'm very right side dominant. I throw with my right hand, I write with my right hand, but my left foot is the one that goes forward. So I have 2 ways of you figuring out how to put, or which foot is going to go forward. The first one is if any of you ever skateboard, you're going to want to use the foot that sits on the board while you're pushing. That's your stationary foot, and that's the front foot that's going to go forward. If you never have skateboarded, which I understand because I don't, you're just going to want to stand straight up and down, very relaxed, and have someone yank you forward. Whichever foot you step with to catch your balance, that's going to be your front foot, and that's your dominant foot. Now that you figured out which is your dominant foot, you're going to want to suit up. You're going to want to put your ski on, your life jacket, and maybe even a pair of gloves. Now, while gloves aren't mandatory, they're something I use and a lot of experienced skiers use. It helps with your grip, and it helps to keep your hands from starting to hurt over time. Now that you're all suited up, it's time to jump in the water. You're going to want to jump in the water with your ski rope. It's going to look a lot like this, but I want to show you how to hold the ski rope, and it's a very important part of skiing. You don't want to hold it like this, with one palm down and one palm up. While some people think it's comfortable, if you fall, it could be very dangerous because your arms are facing different directions. You want to hold the rope with both hands facing down, a slight bend in your arm, and just kind of a relaxed but strong grip. Now that you figured out how to hold the rope, get in the water. Once you're in the water, the first thing that's going to happen is the boat is going to try to get some slack out of the rope. You want this rope to be nice and taut. You don't want it to be loose. If it's loose, you're going to try to get up and it's going to be a disaster. So as the boat moves forward, hold on to the rope and just let the driver do their thing. I promise you, they're not going to leave you. Once the rope is nice and taut, you're going to want to get into position. You're going to want to bring your knees up to your chest with your ski sticking straight up and down out of the water and your arms draped around your knees with that slight bend holding onto the rope. Once you're ready, give the driver a heads up. The boat's going to start to move forward and pull you out of the water. At this point, I want you to push against the water. I want you to push your feet against the board. It's going to push against the water, and ultimately, you'll be able to pop out of the water. You don't want to try to stand up. You want the boat to do the work. It's what the boat is there for. Let the boat pull you up. Don't try to stand up yourself. Once you're up, enjoy the ride. Just look around for a couple minutes, but then focus on your form because I don't want you to hurt yourself. You're going to want to lean back just a little bit, not a lot, but enough to kind of balance yourself. You're also going to want to leave that slight bend in your arms from getting up. You don't want to lock any of your joints while you're skiing. It'll help avoid injury. And then finally, like I said, you want your knees to be bent as well. This will help you avoid wakes or waves. If they're locked and something happens, you could hurt yourself. that you're up and you have your right form, you're going to want to start to talk about moving across the wake. That's what people do when they're cutting across. Now, the wake, defined by dictionary.com, is a track of waves left by a ship or an object moving throughout the water. Basically, it's the rough part of the water that moves out the back of the boat. Now, I think it's a pretty easy concept to cut across the wake. It's ultimately about weight transfer and leaning from side to side. So you're going to want to lean to the side you want to go to, lean to the side you're going to want to go to. And that's basically it. You just have to remember to not lean too much. If you do, it could throw off your balance and you could fall over. If you haven't figured it out by now, water skiing is all about keeping your balance. Now, you know the basics of water skiing, and I hope that you try it one day. It's something I love and find great joy in, and that's something I want to pass on to others. But you have to remember the 3 main steps when doing so. First, don't forget which foot is going to go in your front boot. It's all about balance, and you could make skiing a lot harder for yourself if you don't put the right one in the front boot. Second, push when the boat tries to pull you. Don't try to stand up. Let the boat do the work. And third, enjoy the ride. Try to just glide across the water and enjoy being out there. Most importantly, have fun and enjoy water skiing.